So, I like to get out here and float around in this old boat. Takes my mind off everything. Get to kind of do some thinking. Become one with the nature that's around me. Love nature, always love nature. And I get to come out here and see the things that God created. They tell you that matter can not be created or destroyed, but if you watch right here, there'll be some nice big trees that pass through right there. It all grew from a seed. And when that seed grows, those seeds are very small, some of them very tiny. And they grow into these giant trees, right? That is the creation of matter. But if I take that matter, like that one right there, if I take that matter and I put that matter on a fire, it burns. And it destroys matter. So matter can be created. And matter can be destroyed. But with only the spark of life from God can it be created. We are the only destructive force. We are the only destructive thing. And these scientists want you to believe that they have the power. They, in their infinite wisdom, have the power to create and destroy when it's garbage. It's absolute garbage. We believe in a solar system that we can never touch, that we can never see. We believe in a paradigm of fairy tales and fantasy that was given to us by people that expect us to believe that they are all knowing. The same people that want to interpret your Bible. The same people that want to hide the Bible from you with their evolutionistic paradigm. When, as Trey Smith says, this is a world of entropy. This is a world of declining, where species are lost, never found, not other than microscopic or bug form, which means that they've existed the entirety of man, but they were just discovered. And when we lose species, when species go extinct, none come up and take their place. Ask the Tasmanian devil. Ask the dodo bird. There's questions in this life that we can't understand. There are things in this life that we can't understand. There's something that I understand. That we cannot and have not ever lived on a spherical earth hurtling through a galaxy where the stars have never changed. History of man, the stars have never changed. We're supposed to believe they have. They haven't. Your astrology, which is actually a measurement of the stars that God put in place, tells you in the book of Psalm that those stars are all named and numbered by God. What does God name in the Bible? It's just a couple things. He doesn't name the animals. He doesn't name anything. But he named those stars, each and every one, that we can't comprehend. And everything we do, we have to listen to a scientist who was allowed to trade his trench coat in for a lab coat. NASA, the fake NASA, in my opinion, has been used to finance the extermination of your species. That money has been used, $414 a second pretty much, is what they made for 57 years. It's $300 million a week. They've used that money to manipulate the genetic code to bring about this Jewish, Zionist Antichrist. The Messiah that both the Muslims and the Jews are waiting on. When they killed your Messiah, if you're a Christian, they murdered him. 3.5 years. And they murdered him. They let him preach for 3.5 years as the Jews' Messiah. And they killed him. And the one book and the one creation they hide from you is the Bible. Genesis. But they want you to believe that they know. People ask me, who is they? Some people call them the Illuminati. Some people say the Illuminati doesn't exist. Coincidentally, it was founded May 1st, 1776. Just look that up. Once you look that up, you know who they is. You know who they are. The CFR, the Bilderbergers, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds. When the early 1800s saw the creation of the first electric car, now we have to do everything burning gasoline and diesel. When it's a lie. Global warming's a lie. Global warming's an absolute lie. It's a farce. Perpetrated through the manipulation of statistics, where you go back and change the numbers of the past. It'd be the same thing as if you said you were a millionaire by going back and manipulating the last 25 years of your income records. Would that make you a millionaire? No, it wouldn't. It'd make you a liar. I found God on a flat earth because that's where he lives. This paradigm of all this crap circling around each other when the laws are disprovable by anyone who's thinking, who doesn't have a degree that depends on it. How can the laws of gravity depend on mass and not density? Explain that. That's one right there. Explain that one. Gravitation depends on mass and not density. That means that in reality, if we lived by gravitation and not the fact that things fall because down is down, if I landed a blimp in a yard full of leaves, the leaves would gravitate around the blimp. And said blimp would have gravitational pull indifferent on its density. So no matter if it was made out of lead, or oxygen, it would still have a gravitational pull. But then they say, no, that cannot happen in this reality. Why? Because we live in an atmospheric boundary that isn't affected by the force of a vacuum, when a non-vacuum cannot exist inside of a vacuum. Cannot. Absolutely impossible. Look at the videos of the first time a spacesuit was ever tried inside of a vacuum. The man actually speaks of the bubbles, the spit, being drawn from his tongue in bubbles. And he also says that if the experiment would have gone on any longer, it would have actually caused his blood to boil through the release of the oxygen that's in the blood being sucked out, right? And that was in a spacesuit. Anyway, you're supposed to believe that they're all knowing when they're ignorant, and they're hiding you from God. They're hiding God from you. They don't want you to understand. They don't want you to understand that they can draw a line back to the Garden of Eden. They keep you from going north or south. Look up your sorry, I'm an idiot. Look up your Arctic Treaty, both Arctic and Antarctic. Right? They keep you in line through a military boundary that doesn't exist. They just don't want you to go there because it's only for science stuff. Well, you've only got scientists there that can go there, smart people. What they mean to say is that you can only go there if you're a governmental official. It's enough of being ignorant. It's enough of treating this life like it means nothing. They want you to look up there at night, and they want you to see those stars. And they want you to say, hey, if God's taking care of all that stuff, how's he got time for me? That's what they want. When if you look at what Tesla says about gravitation, he says the theories of Einstein, who did admit that his theories could be incorrect. Tesla says that Einstein's theory of relativity is as if you dressed a homeless man in purple and called him a king. I agree with that. And if you think about the system that you live in, when you start all the way at the top up there, see those clouds, right? They couldn't exist in a gravitized world because they have mass. We'll go with that. So they really have mass. All right, so they couldn't be there if this was the world that we were supposed to live on. So when you go above those and you go to the top of this thing that we live in, you get to where planes can't fly. That's what they've told you. The reason is lack of compression. So instead of the term gravitation, Tesla used the word universal compression. And if you think about it, it explains exactly how we live. When you get up there and it gets so thin that you can't fly because there's no molecules to hit the wings. Well, it's not molecules, it's called ether. Something that Einstein had to throw out to have the theory of relativity. And it's a word that science has been trying to get farther and farther away from, when ether, as Matt Boylan says, is the space between things. So Einstein had to throw out something provable, the ether, which is provable. They do it with two telescopes, one filled with water, one not. So they throw out the ether to have the theory of relativity, and they have to create black matter and black holes. Tesla said through universal compression that you start at the top up there, way up there. Start at the top, and there's the ether is thin. And as you start declining, think about what I'm saying. Think about what I'm telling you. As you start declining from the top of our atmosphere, the pressure becomes greater and greater and greater until you hit water. Until you hit the layer where we live. Because water is your boundary. It tells you in the Bible that the water won't pass the sands. Also tells you that God made a covenant with Noah for all of humankind when he created the rainbow, that he'd never flood us again, which he hasn't done. But when you get to that water, so you started at zero pressure, when you get to this water level, right, sea level, think of why they called it sea level, look the word up. Look the word level up. And then just look the word sea up. And then think about what you're looking at. So, when you get to sea level, that's where we have weather, that winds, different things are created through changes in barometric pressure. Okay? So, changes in barometric pressure are the reason we have weather. Not because of solar storms or the moon or any of this craziness. Changes in pressure. So changes in the universal compression. So, through universal compression, once you go beneath the surface of the water, the pressure starts getting stronger and stronger and stronger until you reach what these people call crush depths. So that means that from the top of our stratosphere to the bottom of the ocean, universal compression does its job, as Tesla states. Universal compression increases from the top to the bottom. Tells you in the Bible that the stars are over your head. Tells you a lot that you're under the sun. When if you look at the world you live upon, there are no difference in the southern and northern stars. When people say from south of the equator that they can guide themselves at night by the polar star, they're told that it's not scientific and they're lying. Well, then they take pictures of it and they say, well, those pictures are fake. You're not really where you say you are. It's a lie. It's a big-ass lie. And we've been duped, tricked, bamboozled, defrauded, whatever word you can think of to be fooled. That's what you have to use. Universal compression is how this whole place is held together. Universal compression is what changes our weathers. Universal compression is what does everything in this world, and it's provable, absolutely provable. Unlike their science, where things have to be made up that aren't true, that aren't real. I'm sorry, when you have to make up things that aren't real, that you cannot touch, that's not tangible, you cannot describe them. I cannot tell you what a star is made out of, because I can't put my hand on it, and I can't take the word of a man or woman that's check salary is dependent upon them knowing a certain thing. When your livelihood and your family's life is dependent on you being ignorant to one subject while being all-knowing about another subject, I can't listen to you. People can think what they want about me. I don't care. I found something, and I know something. The first lie was told in the Garden of Eden. You can't stop like these idiots do halfway back and say, oh, well, we got the Egyptians Guess what? Just like Michael Tellinger says, when you go ask any peoples of the earth that had megaliths, and they show up and say, hey, where'd all these buildings and all this gold come from? Everyone but the Egyptians said the gold is for the gods. And no, we didn't make those buildings. But the Egyptians in their all-knowing, same... See how history repeats itself? With the anyway. The Egyptians say, yes, we did that. Having no idea how those pyramids were made. But I guess my point is, some of you don't believe in a God. Don't believe in God. My problem with it is these people really believe in Satan. These people really believe in Satan. And they're doing his will. While telling you there's no God. While making you believe there's no God. When all you have to do is look at a tree. I'm an outdoorsman, adventurer, been all over the place. Swam in just about any water you can imagine. At least on this continent. You can't be fooled by these people. Because they can't create this. Look, they can't create that tree. They can't create that cloud. No matter what they do. No matter what chemicals they spray in the air. It takes them to make chemicals to spray in the air to create clouds. God doesn't have to do that. And if you look at what this is, it's all a manipulation. And it's all a big trick to make you believe that these people are godly. When they're as far from it as you could ever get. When you think about what they're capable of, people say, oh, well, there's no, can't be. It wouldn't pull a scam on us. They wouldn't screw us over. We've done it before. I'm not going to mention any of them, but they've done it before. You're welcome to look up Operation Northwoods or any of the rest, Operation Paperclip, like I talked about earlier. Look it up. Look it up for yourself. That's up to you. The CIA are the drug dealers, right? The Freemasons, who openly state themselves as guiding themselves by a Luciferian doctrine. Oh, no, they couldn't be lying to us. They wouldn't do wrong, would they? Would they? I don't know. But you can't be fooled anymore. So if this is what if you're fooled by this system, by the way things work with questions unanswerable, guess what happens when you find a flat earth? You find answers. Because you find real, tangible answers to what's going on in this life. Around Earth, you need a scientist's perspective to be able to understand anything. When on a flat Earth, all you need is God's perspective. And to look out of your own eyes and not be fooled. Don't be fooled that this didn't grow from a seed. Don't be fooled that that's not creating matter. Very slowly, but it's creating matter. Right? They want you to believe that God didn't do any of this. Don't be fooled.